So then I got to my life, because my mom has always said, I hated you when you were born. I hated you. From understood the word hatred, I mean, that came down as a block of stone that fell on my heart. She said, I hated you when you were born. I really hated you. I could not take care of you. And now I think she might have had a depression. But the silly thing is that you keep loving your mother. Despite what she says, you keep loving her.
No, that's true.
Later, when you're grown up, you can sort of reflect and you think different. But as a child,
you learn unconditionally.
You trust her, you love her, because she's your mom. You've got only one mom. So you have faith in her no matter what she says. And she can say horrible things, but she's the only person that takes care of you. So you always come back. Because you are that I had no hard feelings. Yes, I went to a period of a couple of months that first I didn't understand. Then I was very angry. And then I tried to understand. And I might do understand her reasons why she did it. I maybe have found why she has done it, but it might not have been her excuse. I think she should have looked for help, for a therapist to help her. She cannot use ignorance as an excuse. So it's the same as speeding on the highway. I mean, you do understand why people do it, but it's not an excuse.
I also wanted to ask you, when you finished the book, how did you feel? How was it for you to finish the book? And also, because many years have passed since then, how do you look at it today, if this is not too personal?
When I finished the first book, I could only cry, because before that I had had all these emotions like anger and disbelief and misunderstanding. In 2004 I had already wrote the letter to my parents, because when I wrote the letter to my parents I didn't want to speak to them ever again. I didn't want to see them ever again. I went to a mourning process. I choose to be an orphan, but still I lost my parents. So I went to a mourning process. I had to grieve.
What were you grieving?
The grieving was not the persons that I lost, but the grieving was the fact that I did not have parents anymore.
It has been therapeutic for you in a sense. It has contributed to your healing process. Writing down, you gave things a place.
Absolutely. The book helped me. It was my therapy.
And when I was reading your book, especially the first part, which was about what was going on in her mind, and then what struck me was that you can have this kind of perspective only if you're sick, mentally ill, you're just cold. And then I was reading an article which was making a comparison with a psychopath. Would you define Munchausen by proxy as a mental illness? The name Munchausen by proxy doesn't clearly refer to the abuse being done.
In 2009, there has been a very big congress in America, and there they introduced the new word of MCA Medical Child Abuse, which basically is very good because you've got sexual abuse, so now you've got medical abuse also. But I think that still does not cover the whole problem. They should have called it medical abuse, not medical children abuse.
Because it's not only on
children. Because it's also on elderly people. And disabled people. And even not that, it's also on people who are not capable of really stand up to somebody else. Because when I left the house, my mom started to do it with my aunt, her sister. And my aunt is just not somebody who speaks up
Okay.
So she became a victim. So it's not only children, it's not only animal, it's not only people only, it's also people who are just not capable to stand up
Yeah.
to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult to give it one word. I would have laughed if they would have left out the word syndrome. If they would just call it Munchausen by proxy, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
But they also use the word syndrome in it. And syndrome always is like an illness. Although a computer or a car can have a syndrome too, which is just multiple factors of something.
Yeah.
So I would have loved if they would not have named it syndrome of Munchausen, but because of that everybody thinks as it as an illness.
Yeah.
You also don't say the syndrome of incest.
No.
So that is so stupid
Yeah.
that they did it like that, because it's a deed and it's not something you have. You don't have incest. Incest is,
Yeah,
is a
something that
deed.
is done. Yeah.
So I think that is a shame, and that has caused a lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So perhaps Munchausen by proxy is the more neutral in a sense, but is a kind of umbrella under which you can put everything. It is the more neutral which allows for more completeness in the description. I was also thinking that it is child abuse, but then if it is defined as a psychiatric illness, it is treated as a psychiatric disorder, and then there might not be any illegal action. Actually, it will get even more complicated than it is right now.
Munchausen by proxy, you cannot have it because it's just the name of the way you mistreat a child.
Yeah.
So it's actually not a condition. So they divided it in a diagnosis with children and a diagnosis with the mother. So with the children it's called pediatric condition falsification, and with the mother it's a fictitious disorder by proxy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say she has got fictitious disorder by proxy. Maybe you can, I don't know.
No. Yeah.
But I know that that is in the DSM. Fictitious disorder by proxy, that is in the DSM. So I don't know if that answers your question, because that is in the DSM. So then caretakers and doctors, they could read about that.
Yeah.
And then what struck me is the coldness. I was reading in your book when you were undergoing the procedure, your mother was just sitting and reading the newspaper, and the nurse was cutting you.
I think that there are people that are not capable of having empathy.
Yeah.
I think there are really people who cannot feel what another person can feel.
Yeah.
And I think that there are mothers who just don't know how to love.
Yeah.
And I think that if you have a lot of these things, if you are not capable of giving love, maybe having a postnatal depression, feeling that your own youth has not been too happy, maybe a combination of all these things, that you develop a need for attention and that you will do anything
Have it.
to have it, even kill.